Module 10 Presentation, question number 2. What factors in American society might cause social bonds to be weaker in inner-city neighborhoods? Let's start with defining what a social bond is. Hershey tells us that a social bond is basically the ties that an individual has with a certain group. It could be with your coworkers, schoolmates, teammates, neighbors, church members, or community members. Hershey tells us that there are 4 elements that make up a social bond. Those elements are attachment, commitment, involvement, and belief. So we need those 4 elements to have a social bond. But how do social bonds actually form? They form through socialization and engagement, whether it be somewhere forced, like school or work, or somewhere you choose to be, like part of a recreation league or community function. Bonds are easier to form the more you interact with someone, so bonds are more easily made between family members or schoolmates. People forge bonds in places that have healthy social infrastructures, not because they set out to build community, but because when people engage in sustained recurrent interaction, particularly while doing things they enjoy, relationships inevitably grow. That quote is by Eric Klinenberg from his book, Palaces for the People: How Social Infrastructure Can Help Fight Inequality, Polarization, and the Decline of Civic Life. Fitting, huh? Inner cities generally have unhealthy social infrastructure, so it makes sense that strong social bonds are harder to form there. Gershon tells us these are some of the characteristics of inner cities. There are less job opportunities, so people must find transportation from where they live to get to work. There's less funding for schools, recreation departments, even roads and environmental issues. The schools are greatly overburdened, meaning that children don't get as much attention or specific instruction. The area is densely populated, which means that the people are packed tightly, raising tensions and causing the low funding to have to be stretched even further. The higher rates of crime cause people to stay indoors and also have a negative attitude about the police. And lastly, there's less open air space. Less open air space means that the air and land is dirty, which creates health problems and forces people to not be active. So overall, less jobs means less money. Less funding means less programs. Overburdened schools create worse education. Dense populations equals more sharing. More crime is less freedoms, and less open air space leads to less outdoor time. Of course, many of these can be accounted for by others. Less funding is less money, less programs, worse education, more sharing, and less outdoor time. And more crime means less outdoor time, less freedoms, and even less money. Now, let's apply those elements of social bonds to inner city neighborhoods. Attachment to parents and friends is very important for the development of children, but poverty makes that attachment difficult to obtain. Parents in poverty are always working, trying to pick up shifts and overtime. Plus, there are a lack of programs where kids are safe and can make friends. Being committed to a community that is run down and underfunded is difficult. You don't take pride in that place, and you don't commit to making it better. Poverty makes keeping social commitments difficult. For example, bus schedules, overtime, childcare, unexpected emergencies, and just scraping by, having nothing left over to give, including your time. Involvement in inner cities is difficult to achieve. There are no programs to be involved in. If there are programs, they fill up fast and leave a lot of people left out. Parents can't always be involved in their child's school and social life because of the reasons mentioned before. They're trying to work extra and use public transportation, leaving little time left over, and they don't want to be doing things in that time. They want to rest. Beliefs in inner cities vary greatly, just like anywhere else. But those values can sometimes seem skewed when on the outside looking in. Over-policing causes mistrust and agitation among community members. Underfunding creates a space that nobody cares for anyway because it never was taken care of in the first place. People often commit crimes out of necessity, and when living in poverty, there are a lot of things you need. Even if they think it's wrong, they are doing what they have to get by. America's inner cities suffer from poor social infrastructure, and therefore its citizens form weaker social bonds in these areas.